This is just crazy, fam. This is crazy what's going on. I know that, when you made the joke last week, you're not an ageist. You work with me. Ha, ha, ha. But, I mean, fam, at what point do you just say, hey, listen, I think, pal, that it's time for you to just hang up your cleats or hang up your pen or whatever you have in Congress that you need to hang up to retire and retire. Take a look at Mitch McConnell, fam. It happened again.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. Wait a minute.
Welcome. You've got mail. Goodbye.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
What are my thoughts about what?
Sam, I think Putin must be shaking in his shoes.
Oh, he's very scared of Mitch McConnell. I mean, can you imagine if Sergei Lavrov, or if somebody from the Russian Federation just stopped functioning like that? I mean, they're so astute and so on it all the time. I just can't imagine it. But they're also not geriatric. I mean, that's the thing. The United States Congress and the United States government has become this retirement home where all these people go to basically hold on to their wealth and their power. And then they have these handlers like this woman behind him who are like, vote yes, vote no, do this. They're not even in charge anymore. They're just representatives of this facade of a democracy that the United States completely lacks. And so they're just playing their role. I mean, in essence, this is honest. This is the most honest view that you get of the United States. This is actually what it is. Except that for most of the time, you get to have people like the squad that pretend, that they're doing things and changing, but you're actually seeing what it's actually like because they have handlers too. They're also PR narrative managers, but they're just not geriatric, so they can just pretend better. But people like Mitch McConnell, people like Dianne Feinstein, people like Nancy Pelosi, they look like the Walking Dead. They're they're literally falling apart. And all this does is kind of maybe I think to some people make them feel bad for Mitch McConnell. But for me, it just angers me more because as much as you can say, well, maybe this is abuse. Same thing with Biden, right? Maybe this is abuse. Maybe Biden should be retired. They don't do that because they want to hold on to as much power as possible to the very last second so that you have no chance of literally having any sort of semblance of a democracy. And this is precisely why they're holding on to this power, because it really benefits nobody except them to do that, right?
Yeah. I think the name Glitch McConnell is definitely going to stick now. But I think what this does bring up, fam, is the question of term limits, because I'm going to surprise people right now. I know a lot of people want term limits. I do not. You know what I'm saying? And that was from my kind of what I've seen in Latin America. When Latin America sees a leader they like and they want to stick with that leader, they want that leader, a leader they can trust. I don't know why, if Americans want that, they can't have that. The only problem is there's a mechanism that controls the media, right? And there's a mechanism that controls the elections. And that's the big problem here. If we had fair and free elections, I don't think you'd see these people in charge, because Americans, I think, are smart enough to realize that these guys got to go, number one. And number two, I mean, it's just that, if in fact we did have somebody who was capable, I think that they should be allowed to be voted in. So it's just a very weird situation, because I know that this is going to come up where people are going to say, we need term limits. We need term limits. That's the main discussion that's coming out of this, I sense. And what are your thoughts on term limits?
We need fair elections. I think saying we need term limits is irrelevant, because they're just going to replace one puppet with another, guys. You're looking at, exactly. You're trying to cover this deadly corpse with Band-Aids. The corpse is dead. It's gone. Okay. So you can't say we need term limits. You need to say We need an actual fair election system. Who's voting for Mitch McConnell? Who's voting for Dianne Feinstein? Who was voting for Nancy Pelosi? And who's voting for Joe Biden? I genuinely do not believe, even if I didn't know anything about elections, and somebody told me that like 60% of America, or how much of America needed to win, right, to defeat Joe Biden, whether it's Trump or whoever it is next, is voting for Joe Biden. I wouldn't believe you. Like, it's just impossible. People are seeing everything that's going on, and they're still voting for people like Mitch McConnell, people like Joe Biden. And by the way, they're on opposite ends of the political. Well, I wouldn't say opposite ends. They are on opposite parties, but they're far closer in policy. They have said they're each other's friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're all part of the same club, So.
If you think that elections are fair, I got 3 words for you. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Impossible. It's like impossible. Who's voting for her? But she does have good ramen noodle hair.